These videos are all about Thanksgiving, and even if it's different this year, we can still make an awesome Thanksgiving meal for whoever we can be with and who is close to us. And for me, I love to have all different varieties of things on Thanksgiving. I do not like it all to be brown, beige, or heavy. I also want bright, fun, delicious, crunchy, hearty salads. That is what this one is. It encompasses kale, spinach, pears, pomegranates, a delicious dressing, some great toppings with some lentils. So the lentils have been cooking, they're on the stove. I use a black or green lentil because they hold up a lot better and they don't just get mushy like other lentils do. So you can see even after cooking, they still maintain their shape, their texture. They have a little bit of toothiness to them. So I'm gonna drain them just like you would a pasta. I'm gonna bring them right over here to the sink. And I have a strainer here. So I just dump them out. It's gonna stop the cooking, obviously, and also just give them a chance to really release all that liquid that was on them. I sometimes even rinse them with a little bit of cool water just to make sure it stops, because I like these to have a little bit of texture. Those are great. I'm gonna sit there, I'm just gonna let them strain. Let those strain, and then we're gonna move on to pomegranates. So, pomegranates, they look scary, right? One, they actually look beautiful because they're gorgeous. I love to have them even in a bowl on the table or around this time of year. They come into season in the fall into December. So this is the best time to get them. Yes, you can buy them pre-opened with all the seeds or little arils out everywhere, but I always find those to have slight acrid taste. They have like a preservative on them or something that gives them a little edge that I don't like. So instead, do it at home. One, it is cheaper, and it's really not as difficult as you think. So I always start by making some slashes all the way around. You can kind of see the ridges, and that's the in-between, kind of the pith in between. So if you start making slashes on all those ridges, I have a way that I think is just a lot easier to make and peel. So come over to the sink, and we're gonna peel it. I fill a bowl with water, and then I just open up my pomegranate inside the bowl of water. I saw this once somewhere, I honestly can't remember where, and to me this is so much easier because all of the mess goes right into the water. So all the juice that squirts up from these, because it inevitably always does, it just goes into that water, so it does not squirt up on you, it doesn't squirt up on your counter, on your window, because guys, it goes all over. So I'm just gonna keep opening these up, pushing the seeds out into the water, strain them, and then we can put our salad together. Here are both of our extras, as we say. It's the lentils and the pomegranates. I'm just gonna let them set aside. I'm gonna let them drain a little bit more, but then they're just kind of that topping we need for all of our salad. So for the actual greens, it can be a mix. I like to have something a little bit softer, so a baby spinach. It has a very easy leaf, very simple flavored. You know, it's one of those that everyone usually kind of likes, a good spinach. With that, I am doing kale. It's not because I'm all on the kale hype. No, I actually love a good hearty green. And I think the problem is a lot of us don't treat it the right way, so we get tired of it. One, this time of year in my garden, I have tons of kale. This is the dinosaur or lacinato kale. And it's my favorite to use because even though it has a really sturdy, hearty texture, it also can really soften. So to me, the important thing with kale is to dress it early, let it sit slightly, and it really softens its texture and it takes on a sweetness. So if you're worried about kale and you're worried about it not having, you know, the right texture, being bitter, have no fear, this is the salad for you, I promise. I'm just right now removing all these ribs, and it's just easier to strip them off kind of with your hand. You could cut them out, but this type is so easy to get to start and then just pull it out. You don't have the ribs just because they are really tenuous. They can get woody. They're not fun to eat. So removing them all just ensures that you're not gonna have any of those tough bites. The next step in making sure that you have a really tender and easy to eat, delicious kale salad is to cut it really finely. The bigger pieces obviously are gonna make it harder and more not as fun to eat, but when it's cut really small, the more you cut something, its cells break down, which means that it gets more tender. So what we're gonna do is cut this pretty finely, and then that actually tenderizes it as we go. So if you look here, you can see these nice small pieces. That's gonna make a much more tender salad. So I'm gonna keep cutting, And then we're gonna be ready to assemble the salad and make the dressing. Yeah, you have to make the dressing. None of those gloppy dressings. I have all the kale cut up. See how nice and fine that is? That makes it, one, easier to eat, but two, it really does help tenderize it. So for the dressing, you want something bright, something that's like a sweet, tangy, just like delicious dressing. So we start with like any dressings, a little bit of Dijon mustard. Yes, it's a mustard, so it has that tang, but it also helps emulsify a dressing. And I think it really kind of balances out some flavors. So to that, not only are we doing pomegranates, we are doing pomegranate molasses. I love this and use this on a lot of things. I actually use this on my turkey a lot. So we're adding it because it's like a molasses in the sense that it does have a sweetness to it, but it has a lot of that tangy, bright, acidic flavor that a fruit can have. So it kind of is the best of all those. I just love putting it in dressings or different things because it really adds just something great. It's not just sweet, it's not sugar necessarily. It just is that fun, sweet, tangy flavor. So I'm still gonna add some vinegar. I like to always add a little bit of sherry vinegar. To me, it's kind of like a red wine vinegar. So a little bit of that. You need that acidity, especially with something like kale, to help break it down and to really kind of go with the strong flavor. A little bit of maple syrup. Again, I'm trying to balance out some of that sweetness, especially with something like kale. It's just always good to add a little bit of something that will help it be a little bit sweeter. And then for brightness, orange. Just a little bit of fresh orange juice right in there. I think the orange one plays really well with anything in the fall. I think orange can be very autumnal. I also think it works really well with pomegranate. And so I love to use it with it. So you always need to season your salad dressing. That's a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. You need that to really balance it out, have the sweetness. So I'm gonna first just mix that up a bit. Help break down that mustard. And then while I'm whisking, I'm gonna start adding in my olive oil. So you wanna add in the olive oil a little bit slowly if you can. You could do this in a food processor too. But what you can tell, and this is what to me a good salad dressing is, as you add it in, it emulsifies in the sense that it gets a little bit thicker. So you have a little bit of that thickness in there, and that means that it's emulsified. So that's what that mustard did. It did its job, which is a beautiful thing. So the next step, when I make any salad, is, especially with kale, I'm gonna actually put a little bit of this dressing on right now. Put it right over the kale, which yes, the spinach is underneath too. But even though spinach usually wilts pretty quickly, pretty easily, the kale really helps hold it up. So I'm gonna start with here out the kale on top, and I'm gonna massage it just a little bit. I'm working that dressing really into it. And I know it seems like you would never do this with most lettuces, most flat greens, but with the kale, it's gonna help tenderize it. And I will do this over an hour before my meal. And actually, to me, that's really nice. So then I just toss it with the spinach. I'm gonna bring it out onto my platter. I serve every salad always on a platter. I think it displays a lot better. It gives you a lot more surface area for all the good stuff you wanna put on it. And I am someone that when I have something like a hearty salad, I load up on the good stuff. So that's all of our greens. They're pretty well moistened now with the dressing, which is good. It has a good base, so that way you don't have to mix in all the toppings with it. So I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we're just gonna assemble all the good stuff. I think Thanksgiving especially is just a fun time to add some of these extra toppings, but this is honestly, this will be a weeknight meal for me. Lentils have tons of protein, and even if you don't like lentils, that isn't really the point here. It's almost acting as a grain. It has that great texture to it. It has that great kind of, just like color, it's adding those dimensions of color, and so it's a great topping to have. And I think it's always just a fun, different thing for people to try. So I put the lentils on. I like to dress it over the top so everyone can kind of see what's going into this salad. And then I will put on a few pomegranate seeds underneath. I'll also put a few more on the top because you want to make sure you see that pop of color. I think that's so seasonal. There's something about pomegranates, since they're always in season around Thanksgiving. It's just fun to make sure that you have them. So I always add another fruit, and that's just some pear. I like the flavor, I like the texture of it. And I think since, again, you're picking things that are seasonal, you could do apple, but honestly to me, apple usually has a crunch that I don't necessarily want. So I'm gonna put the pear in, kind of interspersed around it. It's not necessarily, doesn't matter how you do it, but I kind of like to make it look like it has a rhyme or a reason. And this way too, as people grab it, whether you're using a tongs or maybe a salad set, you can kind of grab some of all of it. And I think that's the best part. When you have something that has all these different flavors and textures, guys, it's just, to me, it's so Thanksgiving. I am always at my sister's for Thanksgiving. And I always just kind of spend the day, we all just kind of cook and bake together. And I will do a different version of the salad every year. So to finish it off, some feta cheese. I like to crumble my own if I can, just because then you can get those big chunks on there, which give you that nice briny bite right at the end. If you don't like feta, obviously you can just leave it off. But I would also say to explore other fetas, you know, try a goat milk feta if you don't like regular feta, or make sure you get an authentic sheep milk feta. I think again, it adds that nice bright color at the end. And then we're gonna put just a few more, because I said we were. I wanna make sure to have some of these on top. Guys, I want you to see that. That is a salad. That is gorgeous. I think I need to taste it. No one's here. This is for me. So I'm gonna totally just try this salad. I think what's fun about these salads is to get a little bit of everything if you can, because that's kind of the fun part of them. It's well seasoned. Getting the dressing on there before you top it and making sure the greens, especially the kale, really have it kind of massaged in and soaked in. Make sure you get that good dressing with it. And then the hit of that briny feta with some of the pomegranate, lentil. Guys, this is the ultimate salad. It is a great one to have with your meal. What I like is it kind of offsets all the heaviness of the meal, whether it's the potatoes, the turkey. A good, bright, hearty salad balances that out. It's beautiful to look at, it's delicious to eat. I cannot wait for you guys to try this. Try it before Thanksgiving so you know if you like it, because you will. Share it around, because guys, sharing these videos really helps me, and it helps other people to see how easy so much of this stuff can be. So share it, check my website, wiseguide.com, for more great recipes and tips. I love the holidays and I love sharing them with you. Even if we can't share them with everyone, we can share them with each other here. So share it, comment. Until next time, try it.